Thanks for coming back. All right. So in this video, we're going to pull in all three of the previous videos. Um, what were that we talked about emotion, that we talked about thoughts, and we talked about intention. Those are the three cores I use as a foundation, like a stool, like in the a bar stool. Okay, uh, that uh, that I think is the minimum that we need to start working and change our thought patterns, our self, to understand how to achieve happiness on a deliberate, more consistent basis. Okay. All right. So in this video, we're going to pull all three of them together and kind of, in a general way, talk about how they kind of correlate, and so we can, so where I'm coming from videos here forward, right? Okay. So right now, uh, this is the second time I'm trying to make this video. The first time it didn't work out very well. So what we're going to talk about is my state right now, right? I'm in a weird mood right now, meaning I'm not super happy, um, because there's things that I desire for myself. Now, desire is wonderful, right? And that resistance, that conflict, that frustration is actually an indicator that you want things, but for some reason, you're not allowing yourself to move to them, right? Happiness is a process of moving to from one point to the next point, okay? And it's a forward motion. So the better we understand how these things and how we correlate within that process, the easier happiness will be, the more life will be fun, the less conflict, right, we'll have. Conflict comes from growth, right? Just touch on it really lightly, but conflict is a state of, like, that you bumped your head against the ceiling, like see, imagine you're a balloon, and you're a balloon full of helium, and it's always just floating towards the sky, and it hits something, right? It hits a barrier, and that ceiling is your maximum. Like, that's the limits of your understanding, your belief systems at that particular time. So like a balloon, you want to float past it, right? You want to grow, you want to evolve. So conflict is an indicator that you've hit, like, an invisible ceiling, that you have something that you need to move past, right? To move toward what you want for yourself, right? It's okay to want stuff in your life. It's okay to want experiences in life. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to think that you'll be happy when you get XYZ. It's okay, it's the process of moving toward the item or the thing, their experience or the lifestyle, whatever that you want. That's happiness, okay? That process of allowing yourself to get there. Right? Because once you get to where you're at, I mean, whatever you wanted, whatever shiny and bright and stuff and polished, will become dull, will become, old, right? Soon, very fast, right? We all know that, right? And so how did the three things work in relation to me right now, right? Because fundamentally, again, I'm keeping myself from something that I want. And like I've touched in previous videos, happiness is not about getting those things. It's about feeling the allowance within you that you can do anything you want, that you're whole, you have everything you need to be happy. It's when we start using those excuses of this, that, and the other, that's when things get a little complicated, because your nature, your biology is saying, dude, come on, man, it's not that, right? It's not that. So you're having a little bit of conflict, and it's just a conflict of understanding. It's just little gaps in understanding that we experience. Dude, just because I have a little system doesn't mean that I don't fall through, right? I do it all the time. And this is a totally ongoing thing. Being happy is ongoing from moment to moment to moment to moment for eternity, right? So no matter if you're dirt poor and you want to be, billionaire, when you get to when you get to the billionaire space, you're going to want to be a trillionaire space. It's not enough, right? So we constantly are like that balloon that we're floating to the sky, to the space. And so we always, no matter what our circumstances, we always hit barriers, limits of ourselves, because we're limitless. We expand infinitely. And so just remember that, once you're happy, you're not done, right? You're not done. You constantly have to adjust to new circumstances that trigger within you conflicts that you need to get past. And so, understanding that happiness is within is like shortcutting the system and realizing, oh man, it's always within me. I just don't have to pretend it's outside of me, because you're complete. You really are. I mean, you may not see it now, but you will as time moves forward and as you watch other videos, and you practice this. It's not like, you're done. No one's a master. You always have another level above you, right? So, okay, so bringing in all the three pieces. So emotion, thoughts, and intention. So in my circumstance, that I want to live a certain way, I want to have a certain relationship, I want to have a certain stage of success, blah 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 blah, right? We all have that stuff, right? But in my particular way, it's just unique to me. That combination is unique to me. And so obviously none of those three are in any particular order, right? The emotions, thoughts, or intentions, they're kind of like really woven into one. They're really homogenized, right? And so just start with any of them, right? So I can go with emotion, right? I feel frustration. Okay, so if I feel frustration, that means that my thoughts, remember, because in the previous video I was talking about how emotions are a result of thoughts, and whether your emotions tell you whether the thought is in accordance or aligned with your well-being, with what your genius DNA, your genius universe that we're in knows that our brains and our thinking processes and our survival mentalities haven't caught up to yet, right? So frustration means that I'm limiting myself in some particular way. There's a particular angle that I'm not looking at quite yet. So the best thing for me to do, and what I do in this circumstance, is I'm like, okay, I gotta chill a little bit. I feel my emotions. The alarms are going off. I'm frustrated. Okay. Next question I ask myself, to get the thinking process in place, what do I want? Say it in a sentence to myself, right? Say it in a sentence, what do you want? Well, I want X, Y, Z. Why do you want X, Y, Z? Because I feel that I deserve X, Y, Z, and I believe that I'm tired of the old way of being, and I'm tired. Something to pay attention to right now. I just caught this right now. Describing what you want to move to, and what you don't want to be, you want to move away from. That's really important to pay attention to, okay? Because it's not the same. It's not the same. Okay? Like saying, let's pretend we're a balloon. I want to float to space, right? That's one way. And the opposite would be like, I just don't want to be on Earth. Does that make sense? I don't want to be pulled down by gravity. I want to float to the sky. So floating to the sky feels in a particular way. I want to be I want to float to the stars, right? Like, pretend we're a balloon. I want to float to the stars. I don't want to be stuck on the ground, right? It's kind of, it's kind of the same thing, right? We're kind of talking about not being, floating to the sky, right? But one is a positive, a positive description, and the other one is a negative description. Not it's like, negative in a bad way. It just means that you're using negative terms to describe what you want. So deciding that you want something, it's not that I don't want this, right? There's a feeling, there's a difference, and we'll talk about that in future videos. That's really important. That's super like splitting hairs, but it's important to talk about, and I'm glad I caught myself saying it. Right? So, okay, so then I want certain thing XYZ because I believe I just want better. I want to be better to myself, and so as I start describing and kind of crystallizing what I desire, because sometimes we don't even know what we want. We just know what we don't want, right? So it's good to spend a little bit of time thinking about what you want. Put it into words. It may take a little, you may not even know what you want, right? But just kind of generally start going in that direction. Like instead of saying, if you don't know exactly what you want, just say, I want to move forward. I want to feel free. Those are general terms. It's not specific. It's not like, I want a solid gold bar. It's not specific like that. It's just saying general. It's to get you in that general release. And little by little, as you practice, this is all practice. It's just, there's no wrong or right answer. It's just gauge it on how you feel as you say the terms. That's so important, to find that relation between two, because again, emotion and thoughts have a relationship between the two, and it's critical to be able to harness those two, to get familiar with them, to feel what you're getting familiar with is yourself and your thought processes and how you feel, because that's unique to you. You're not feeling someone else, you're feeling you, right? You're feeling you. And so just that little bit of like talking about what I want to move to makes me feel better, because it's, believe it or not, it's taking me in that direction, right? Even though I haven't moved anywhere, you saw me on video, I'm still sitting in the car. But mentally, it's releasing me. It's releasing that conflict. It's releasing that whatever judgment I have internally that's holding me in place, that limitation, that belief system that's holding me in place. So practice that. Again, this is a general video, but practice that feeling. You don't have to bust all three components, in the same thing, because they're very, very tightly wound to one another. So just like we talked about, we start off with emotion. I felt frustrated. That immediately, because they're so integrated, kind of dovetailed into my thoughts, right? Then I finished it off asking myself what I wanted, which is an intention, right? Do you see what I'm talking about? It's like those three, I can't even do three, those three things, how they're so tightly woven, you can't have one without the other, right? And so that's pretty much all I want to talk about in this video. I just wanted to touch on how they're tightly woven with one another, and I wanted to use myself as an example. And I like to speak about what's close to me, right? Because my happiness, that's my responsibility, right? My happiness is my responsibility. I can't put it on you guys, right? I can't hold you guys responsible for making me happy, because that's my job. I'm the one that feels what I feel. So whom else should have full control of that than yourself, right? And so using those three cores, emotions, thoughts, and intentions, to immediately transfer and create ease for yourself that creates the lightness, alleviates the mood, puts you into a better position of happiness, right? Okay. And so we'll talk about in future videos about like the emotional spectrum, one end to the other end, and that's a lot of stuff, right? So that's a whole video on its own. But I love you guys so much. I'm so happy that you're tuning in and watching this, and I hope, uh, you know, I hope this sets well. And please ask me any questions if you have anything, because this is all about us, man. As a humankind, it's so important to be happy. Imagine what the world would be like if we were all happier. Man, we wouldn't want to have force over anyone to make them do what we need them to do for us to be happy, right? That's so super convoluted. When we all take and recognize that our happiness is our own, man, that sets everyone free, including yourself, because you are the maker, right? All right, peace, and have a great day, and stay tuned for the other videos. I'm not sure what I'll be talking about in the other ones quite yet, but it'll be good. It'll probably be about conflict. Who knows? Emotional spectrum. Who knows? Stay tuned. Bye.